Okay, good afternoon. I will show you my presentation. My presentation is about user manager for MikroTik hotspot user management. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Ahmad Rosid Komarudin. I was born in Blitar. Blitar is one of city in Indonesia at 30th December 1997. I'm 19 years old now. I'm teacher in Madinatul Ilmi Vocational High School. I teach about networking, especially in Cisco and MikroTik. Before becoming a teacher, I was studied in ID Networkers. That program is called Pesantren Networkers. There I have a lot of teacher, but I have two great teacher. That is, they are Mr. Rofik and Mr. Dedi Gunawan. Mr. Rofik is presenter before. He teach me about MikroTik. And Mr. Dedi Gunawan is CEO of ID Networkers. I think the picture is more dark. He teach about Cisco. He teach me about Cisco. I have four MikroTik certification, that is MTCNA, MTCRA, MTCUME, and MTCINE. Actually, my last certification is MTCUME. I took MTCUME on March this year. That is about 2 months ago. And my trainer is Mr. Rofik. About Madinatul Ilmi Vocational High School, in there we have two major, that is networking class and programming class. I think this school is special. This school is different with another school. Why? Because in this school, the student just study about their major. They never study about mathematics, biology, physics, or others. The student in networking class just study about networking every day, and the student in programming class just study about programming every day. And absolutely, they study about religious also. This picture is taken in networking class. You can see that we have a lot of networking devices. We have a complete networking device. Okay, let's start our material. What is user manager? User manager is a feature in MikroTik that get used for centralized user management. In traditional method, I mean without user manager, if you have 100 router, we must create user 100 times. We must create user in every device. But now, in modern method, I mean with user manager, if you have 100 user, if we have 100 router, we don't need to create user 100 times. We just need to create user one time, and that user can be used to log in all of another device. And what kind of user that can manage by user manager? User manager can manage hotspot user, PPP user, wireless user, and router OS user. But in this presentation, I just want to focus in user manager to manage MikroTik hotspot user. I will give you an example case. In this case, we have 4 MikroTik access point. And in all of MikroTik access point, we have run hotspot service. The case is we want to create guest user, and that user must be able to use for MikroTik hotspot login in all of MikroTik access point. Okay, for the case, maybe we have some solution. I will tell you the first solution. In the first solution, we will create guest user in every device. We will create guest user in 4 devices. In here we have 4 MikroTik access point. So we will create guest user for time. But the question is this the best solution? Okay, to answer this question, we will analyze this solution. In this solution, we create guest user in every device. In this topology, we have 4 MikroTik access points, so we must create guest user for time. But imagine that we have 100 router in our network. So we must create guest user 100 times. This will waste our time, our technology, and our energy, and this is not effective. And what about bandwidth management? Absolutely, we have created guest user in every device. So if we want to manage bandwidth for that user, we must create bandwidth management rule in every device. In this topology, we have just 4 MikroTik access point. That is, I think, no problem if we have to create bandwidth management rule for time. But imagine that we have 100 router. So we must create bandwidth management 100 times. I think that is a problem for us. Next, about monitoring. How about monitoring? Absolutely, if we are a network engineer, we must monitor our network. In this solution, we create guest user in every device. So for monitor, we must monitor from all of device. If you have 100 router, so we must monitor from 100 router in one time. So I think we have a conclusion. Is this the best solution? I think no, because this is not effective. So have we another solution? Yeah, we have. We have another solution. We will use a user manager. If we use user manager, if we have 100 router or 200 or 300 or maybe 500 router, we need them to create user 100 time or maybe 500 time. We just need create user one time, and that user can be used in all of another device. We will configure a core router as radio server or user manager server. And in all of MikroTik access point, we just configure as radius client or user manager client. If there is client login with user guest in MikroTik access point 1, 2, 3, or 4, MikroTik access point will use the user created in core router to authentication process. So MikroTik access point never run authentication process. Who run authentication process? Just user manager server. How about bandwidth management? We will analyze this solution. Is this solution better than the first solution? About bandwidth management, in the first solution, we must create bandwidth management rule in every device because we create user in every device. But now we just create user one time in user manager server. So for bandwidth management, we just need to create bandwidth management rule one time in user manager server. How about monitoring? In the first solution, we monitor from all of router because we create user in all of routers. But now we just create user in user manager server. So for monitoring, we must need monitor from user manager server. We don't need to monitor from another device. So the question is, what is actually the benefits of user manager? I think that is just about efficiency. Absolutely, I think it's impossible if we just have one router or two router in our network. Usually we have 100 or more. And if we don't use user manager, we must create user many times in every device. But with user manager, we just need create user one time. And absolutely that user can be used in all of another device. When we must use user manager? I think when we must use user manager, that is if we have more than one router in our network and we want to centralize user management. If we just have one router in our network, I think user manager is useless. But if you have 100 or 200, user manager is very, very useful. And I have told you about the benefit of user manager, so you can decide by yourself when you must use user manager. Who needs user manager? User manager will be very useful for internet service provider. I think the MikroTik features that maybe internet service provider use is MikroTik hotspot. I think all of internet service provider will use MikroTik hotspot to sell their internet connection to their customer. And for MikroTik hotspot user management, user manager is the best choice. So user manager will be very useful for internet service provider. And In the user manager, we have good features, I think, for internet service provider, that is vouchers. This is the example voucher, the voucher example generated by user manager. The internet service provider can use this voucher to sell their internet connection to their customer. There is a username, password, and price of internet connection. We cannot use all of MikroTik as user manager server. There is a limitation. If MikroTik level 3, just have one user active in user manager server. If we use MikroTik level 4, we have 20 user active. If we use MikroTik level 5, we have 50 user active. And in level 6, there are unlimited user active. So I think MikroTik level 6 is the best choice for us if we have a lot of users. To see the license of our MikroTik, you can go to setting menu in license. You can see that I have MikroTik level 6 license. Okay, user manager installation. This is for user manager server installation. The first step, we must download user manager package from MikroTik website, from mikrotik.com. Remember that we must download user manager package with the same version with our router. In this router, I have MikroTik version 6.38.1. So we must download user manager package with version 6.38.1 too. Must have a same version. After we have downloaded the package, you can drag and drop to our router. You can upload to our router. And the final step, the last step, is we must reboot our router. After we have installed the user manager server in our router, we can open our browser and type this address, 10.10.10.1. You can replace them by your MikroTik IP address /userman. The default password, the default username is admin with blank password. Okay, after we have logged in MikroTik user manager management, the first step is we must add the routers. The routers mean user manager client. So in this step, we must add user manager client. You can go to routers menu, add, and new. In the name, you can fill with user manager client hostname, IP address. Absolutely, this is an IP address of user manager client, and short secret you can fill with any password. This is up to you. This password will be used for authentication process between user manager server and user manager client. Okay, next step is we must create a limitation profile. Limitation profile is used to bandwidth management rule. In this example, I create a limitation profile with bandwidth 512 kilobit for download and 512 kilobit for upload. You can see that I have configured uptime as 2 hours. What is uptime? Uptime means how long the user will be expired. In this example, I configure uptime as 2 hours, so the user will be expired after 2 hours. Next step, we must create a profile. In this profile is used to create a user. You can go to profile. In the profile, you can add. In this profile, we can use a limitation profile that we have created before. You can mark the 512 kilobit, the name of limitation profile that we have created. The next time is we must create a user. This is, I think, this best feature in MikroTik User Manager. If we don't use User Manager, we cannot create we cannot create many users in one time. We must create user one by one, if not use User Manager. But if we use User Manager, we can create many users in one time. You can create 10 users or maybe 100 users in one time. This method called batch user. You can go to users, add and choose a batch. Number of users, that is how many users that we will create. I configure as 10, so we will create 10 users in one time. Username prefix, that is I configure mom, that is username prefix. I configure as mom, so all of user will begin with mom. And user length, that is how many character of the user. I configure as 6, so the user will have 9 character. You can see that we have configured username prefix with 3 character and username length with 6 character. 3 and 6 is 9, so the user will have 9 character. Username length is 3, that is how many character of password. Assignment profile, that is a profile that we have created before. You can see this is the result of user that we have created. We have 10 users. Remember that we just create user one time and we have 10 users. The next step, we can generate voucher. I have told you about voucher before, and this is how to generate a voucher. You can go to users menu. In the generate, you can choose a vouchers. You can download. And this is the result of voucher that generated by user manager. You can see that is login. Login means username and password. You can use this voucher to sell your internet connection to the customer. But you can see that the default voucher from MikroTik have a bad luck, I think. But don't worry, you can change the voucher template by yourself. You can download from the internet, or if you have a knowledge about HTML, you can create by yourself. This is the code I have downloaded from the internet. For changing the voucher template, you can go to settings, template. In the name, you can use a vouchers, and you just need to copy and paste the code from the internet, or you can build by yourself. This is the result of user voucher that we have changed before. You can see that the display is more beautiful than before. Okay, the configuration in user manager server have done. Now we must configure in user manager client or radius client. There is just 2 steps to configure a radius client. The first step is we must configure a hotspot service to use a radius. You can go to hotspot service in the server profile. You can mark the use radius and OK. And the second step, you can add a server profile. You can add radius server to the radius client. You can go to radius, add. In the general, you can mark just hotspot, because in this presentation I just focus in user manager for MikroTik hotspot user management. If you want to manage maybe router OS users, you can mark the login. Next, the address. This is absolutely the IP address of user manager server, and the secret, that is the password to authentication process between user manager client and user manager server. Okay, let's try. This is the display. I have logged in to MikroTik hotspot with user that created in user manager server, and you can see that the result is successful. Remember that we don't create a user in user manager client. We just create user in user manager server, but we can log in. You can see that the default MikroTik hotspot login template is, I think, not attractive. You can change this display by yourself. Maybe you can change by you can add your company logo. You can change the color or anything. If you have a knowledge about HTML, you can create hotspot login template by yourself, but if you don't have knowledge about HTML, you can download from the internet. There is many websites provide the hotspot login template. Okay. After we have downloaded the MikroTik hotspot login template, you can upload them to our MikroTik. You just need to drag and drop. And the configuration, this is the result of user manager template that we have uploaded to our router. And the configuration, you can go to a hotspot menu in the server profile. In the HTML directory, you can change to directory that we have uploaded before. Okay, this is the result of MikroTik hotspot login that we have changed. Okay, I think that's all from me. Any question? Come on. Raise your hand. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Limitation profile or profile? Yes, create the profile first. Okay. I'm sorry. This is limitation profile. This is to manage our bandwidth, to manage bandwidth. We can control upload and download speed. Yes, yes, we can manage our bandwidth. So if we have configured, in this example, I configure the download bandwidth for 512 kilobit and upload 512 kilobit. So the user just have 500 kilobit bandwidth for download and upload. And after create a limitation profile, we can assign that limitation profile to the profile. Because if we create a user, there is no limitation profile menu. There is just profile. So we must create a profile first. After that, we have to create a user. So the first step is we must create a limitation first. The second step, profile, and the last step, we can create a user. Okay. If you want to have this presentation, you can email me or you can wait for MikroTik don't upload this presentation. Okay, any question? Again, please. Okay, no question. You can, if any question, you can contact me in Facebook, in WhatsApp or Gmail. I think that's all from me. I'm sorry for any mistakes and thank you.